A Chicago woman says that a squatter stole her house, and the police say they can do nothing because it's a civil issue, but the eviction courts are backed up by almost 18 months. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today. Now, I've covered this issue before, and it has to do with squatters. And basically what is happening is squatters are looking for these vacant homes. So when you have your property empty, maybe, you're going through tenant turnover, or maybe you're rehabbing it or whatever, these people, they're looking for these vacant homes, and they're breaking into them. They are changing the locks on them, and then they're just moving on in, okay? So that is exactly what happened to the woman in this story here. Basically, she was getting this house ready to sell by doing a rehab, and she turns around. Next thing you know, there's somebody living up in there. Now, of course, they're saying, well, maybe there was another landlord who rented it to her, and it isn't. She's just an innocent victim as well. Well, I will tell you right now that in 90% of these cases, it is the tenant who is the one who is the squatter. It's not some mystery landlord somewhere who's leasing a house out that they don't own. Okay. It is literally these squatters who are moving in. They write up their own fake leases and they move in, and they know they can't be evicted. And especially in a place like Chicago, okay, it's a very tenant-friendly place, and you know that it's going to be extremely difficult to get those tenants or those squatters. They're not tenants. Get those squatters out of the property. So yeah, I mean, I bet combined with all of the other eviction protections and everything, this person here, this lady in Chicago, she's going through a nightmare situation. And it's going to cost her thousands and thousands of dollars in lost rent. She won't be able to sell her property like she wanted to. I mean, she can't. I mean, when I say lost rent, she wasn't even trying to be a landlord with the place. She was trying to sell it. So she's not really losing the rental income because she never wanted the rental income. What she is losing, though, is any mortgage payments that she had on the property, any insurance, that any taxes that she has to pay for the property. She's, any damage that this squatter does to the property while they're in there, and of course her stress and peace of mind. Okay, where she can't do what she wants to do with her property, and it's all really caused by bureaucracy. It's not caused by these bad squatter people, right? We know these squatters exist. There needs to be a method to get them out easily and quickly for the property owners. And a little fraudulent lease doesn't mean anything. So if somebody comes up and they got a lease and it has a fake signature on it, I could pretty easily prove that, hey, that isn't my signature. Okay, this isn't any legal document I signed, so we got to get these people out of here ASAP. This person has zero rights to this place. And you know what? You wonder why landlords sometimes they do what they call illegal evictions. Well, if somebody's in your house illegally, I don't exactly know if you can do an illegal eviction. You might just come over with a shotgun and get the hell out. Okay? But I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't. But I understand why some landlords are doing that instead of going through the court process, especially when the courts are backed up by as much as 18 months. That's insane. Okay? You don't expect somebody to keep a squatter in their property for that long. That's ridiculous. Anyway, before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? Have you ever dealt with a squatter before in your property? And even if you haven't, what do you do for your properties to, kind of make sure that there aren't any squatters up in there? I know I really worry about this sort of thing when I have one of my properties that are vacant. So, when I was self-managing, I would do a lot of, hey, I'm driving by the place, at least a couple times a week, just to make sure nobody's up in there, going up inside, making sure nothing's been stolen. People will break in houses and steal stuff too, even if they're not squatting. But the worst thing is if you get a squatter up in there, and sometimes they'll just try to turn it into like a drug house or something. Listen, man, I've dealt with very low income housing, so you have to be extremely careful. And for the landlords who deal with that kind of stuff, they understand what I'm talking about, all right? So this article is coming from ABC7Chicago.com, and it says, Chicago woman says stranger moved into vacant Chatham home, refuses to leave. Yeah, and if this person is refusing to leave, they are the squatter, okay? If this person was truthfully scammed by a landlord or a fake landlord, right, they would probably know that they had to leave and get the heck out of there. But let's see what the article says about it. A Chicago woman says she listed her Chatham home for sale, but shortly after, a stranger moved in and is refusing to leave. Danielle Cruz says she was proud when she bought this home and even prouder after renovating it. She was excited to sell it, but a stranger moved right in. When she called police, they told her there wasn't much they can do. Now she can barely stand to look at the property. It just brings back nothing but bad energy for me, she said. Cruz said last month a contractor came to repair her vacant Chatham home and noticed someone inside. She was told all the locks had also been changed. Yeah, that is bad, okay? So you know something's up immediately if all of the locks have been changed. My only question, for this lady here, I know she was renovating this house, was how long had it been since the last time you had visited it? Chicago is known to be a rougher city, right? So hey, I got to go down here at least once a week and just check on the house, okay? Check on it, do a little quick walkthrough, really easy, just to make sure that, nobody's come by and busted all your windows out, that you don't have any squatters living inside, that nobody's come in and stole your air conditioner or anything ridiculous like that. And, make sure it hasn't burned down, okay? I mean, that is the minimum that she should have been doing. But from the sounds of it, right? I mean, if she called a contractor and the contractor had to inform her that, somebody moved in, it had been at least a few weeks since the last time she had visited the place. So that is something that other landlords should think about when they have a property that they're, doing a renovation on or whatever. I know in some places it is so rough, right? Like in, the hood in Kansas City where I'm from, right? It is so rough down there that you have to basically live in the property to keep people from coming in and breaking in the place and stealing, all of your, materials, stealing your appliances, everything until the property is done. It's ridiculous, but hey, this is the rough kind of place that she might have been investing in, so she should have been a little bit more vigilant. I'm not saying it's her fault, okay? I'm just saying, hey, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? We honestly thought he was joking because we knew the house was vacant. My husband just repaired the house completely with his own money, Cruz said. So we show up with the cops, and there's a young woman in there with all of her belongings. Cruz said the woman told police she saw an ad for the home online, signed a month-to-month lease with a so-called landlord, and paid $8,000 up front. Yeah, and this is a garbage story, and it's easy to see through it. First of all, this person, right? I mean, nobody comes up with $8,000, as a down payment for some house in some hood house in Chicago. Okay, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have first and last month's rent, and you're gonna have the security deposit. But I just can't imagine. And they have a picture of this house in this article, and I'll throw it up on the screen, right? And I'm not saying that Chicago doesn't have extremely valuable housing in it, right? But this doesn't look like one of those really popular houses in Wrigleyville or any of that. This looks like just a basic hood house, and in that part of town, the prices are a lot lower. Okay, so to me, I don't imagine that any tenant would have put $8,000 down and to some landlord and sign some month-to-month lease. Like, why are you putting $8,000 down for a month-to-month? No, this is BS. Okay, and if it is a month-to-month lease, right, then wouldn't the landlord therefore be able to just say, okay, well, you're out by next month, right? I mean, I own the house, so I am the landlord. So therefore, you're out next month. But I don't know what the eviction rules are in Chicago. Maybe they have some sort of eviction rule that says, oh, you can't end your lease whenever you want to. No, this is fraud. This tenant isn't, she's not a victim. She is a squatter, period. And she has a fraudulent lease that she probably just wrote up herself, and she needs to go. And don't be surprised, if these property owners come back with baseball bats and then scare her out of there, because that's probably the kind of thing that a lot of people would want to do in this sort of situation. Cruz says she's never met this woman, nor did she lease her property to her. She hoped the police would ask the woman to leave, but because she showed officers a lease, it's a civil matter. They said, unfortunately, they couldn't prove she was trespassing. We have to go to court to follow the eviction process, Cruz said. Well, how do you not prove they're trespassing? Unless your name is on the lease and you're the landlord, then therefore she couldn't possibly have leased the property from you. Okay, unless your signature is on that lease. Okay, I could just pull a lease out of, and write it out myself, and then, I'm leasing this mansion here. It's mine, and then they'd be like, no, you're not a squatter. See, he has a lease. He's living in this $10 million mansion, but he pulled up a lease that he just printed off online. No, okay, it's obvious that the police, weren't doing, as much as they could have, and if they had just listened to the lady, hey, she could show them the deed for the property, and if the deed of the property, a warranty deed has a different name on it than the person who is, or the name on the lease, then problem solved. This lease isn't valid because, this person here who doesn't own the property can't lease it out. And in the terms of like a property management company, even on my property management's leases, right? They still have my name on there saying that I'm the owner, but they are managing it for me. So, I don't know what this lease said on it, but it's very unlikely that, this lady went through all that trouble. All I know is that, you have to be able to get a squatter out of this house. You have to be able to keep people's property. People have to be able to have control of their property and do what they want with it without people being able to steal it like this lady has. And I actually I'm going to skip down a little bit because they have some of the neighbors' reactions to what was going on, and it's actually pretty funny, right? So Cruz's neighbors were eager to chime in about the situation. Well, it's disgusting. It's stealing and it's not right, said Sharon Bowe, a neighbor. No one wants to come back and someone is living in a property, said Kentara Smith, another neighbor. It's frightening. That can happen to anybody. I definitely do feel violated, Cruz said. Like I said, we may not live here, but it's still our property, I own this home, and it feels like if anyone could just break into your house and kind of take over, that's a scary feeling. Yeah, and the neighbors and the property owner herself, they got it right, okay? It is disgusting, okay? And it could happen to anyone. Even, like, let's say you don't, this isn't an investment property, but you just went on vacation, okay? You went on vacation, you come back, all the locks in your house are changed, and there's somebody up in there living, and they're holding up a paper lease saying, hey, I leased this house. Look, it says right here, fully furnished. Man, you see what I mean? If you don't stop this while, in the short term, then it can hurt everyone. I don't understand why the police didn't do more, but hey, to me, it's a complete joke. So, yeah, bad situation overall. I hope that this lady, I hope they don't have to go to court. And I hope that this lady is able to get this tenant out of there, or get this woman. I guess she's not a tenant. She's just a squatter. I keep using that terminology because I'm so used to talking about tenants. Get this squatter out of her house.